sometimes we hold on to certain things and it's not working for us. We don't really believe in it. We're struggling with it. It has started keeping us up at night. We're having anxiety attacks about it. And then it's like, you got to be settled in your spirit. Somebody asked me, and it's a common question, say, how do you know you're making the right decision? I say, it's peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you challenge something and it gives you peace, go with it. In spiritual terms, we call it the Holy Spirit. When you have peace that passeth all understanding and you make a decision, everybody is against it, but you're at peace, you're on the right track. You're making an illuminated decision there.
Welcome to Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations, where we explore the stories and truths that awaken our souls and empower us to live fully. Today's guest is a radiant light in the realm of transformation and cultural intelligence. With over 20 years of experience in transformational coaching and leadership development, she is the founder and CEO of Olumination Enterprises, LLC, an organization devoted to empowering high-achieving individuals to rise above adversity and live with clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. A global voice who has trained and spoken in Canada, Morocco, the UK, Nigeria, and Ghana, she brings with her not only wisdom, but lived experience. After surviving a near-death experience, she stepped fully into a divine calling to empower others through faith, freedom, and authenticity. It is my honor to welcome you to the show, Mama. I was saying before we started, I don't know if I should call you Auntie Olu because you are
Just
from...
call me Auntie Olu. That Mama
Auntie
is a little
Olu.
heavy.
Okay, because
To my great grandma.
because we are from the same, we are both Yoruba, so I have to put that respect on the on the name.
Very well done, Toby.
It's necessary. So how are you doing, Auntie Olu?
I am doing very well. It's such a pleasure to be here. I love what you're doing. I really love it. Yes.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that you are here today, and I'm looking forward to learn so much from you because, like you said earlier, we learn from other people's experiences. Like we get wiser through learning from other people's wisdom, like getting from their wisdom. And you've experienced a lot, and I'm looking forward to gaining some of those knowledge that you've gathered over the years, so that I could also improve my life, and the listeners out there could also improve their lives. Well, before we go into all of that, we'd love to play a game of word cards. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So we have 3 stacks of cards. We have the first level which is the icebreakers, the second level is confessions, and the third level which is getting deep. I'm shuffling the first stack of cards right now. I'll pick the card at random, and I get to ask you a question from our icebreaker. Okay, the question is: what is something you did with pure kindness but did not tell anyone?
Oh, and this is an icebreaker.
Yes, it's too hard for an icebreaker. I don't know why it's so deep for an icebreaker.
Isn't it? It's like deep. Okay. I believe paying tuition for someone back home in Nigeria and sending them to school. And it was a personal thing that I was the only one who knew what I was doing. And yeah, I think that's it. It was very personally satisfying since nobody else knew about it.
That's very kind of you. A lot of people are going through difficult situations back at home, and it's like, yeah, that's that's life saving for someone out there. You could,
yeah, and then watching them finish, it's a very satisfying feeling.
Yeah,
without the external glory and noise and all that. So I like that.
I think one thing I've learned is that one should shy away from all this external glory because it could take away the glory that God is going to bless us with, instead.
Actually, growing up, my dad always told us that when your right hand does something for someone, your left hand shouldn't know. So that kind of stuck in my brain that you don't need to be broadcasting things that God tells you to do or empowers you to do because it's kind of noise. It has a good thing and it has a bad thing because it always manifests in different ways in life. You know how you tell you something and you try to apply it somewhere else. Yeah. So we're not going to get to that. Let's keep on ice breaking.
Let's keep on. So I picked the second card already. Are you ready for the question? It says, what is a conspiracy theory you believe in?
I don't think I believe in. Are you especially picking this?
No, I
don't believe in any conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's
Actually, good. I don't. I didn't have to think about that long. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. No. I believe in real life experiences, history, patterns, but no, conspiracy, I can't connect with that.
Yeah, that's good. The last one, I'm so sorry. I mean, sometimes I pick this question and I'm like, oh my God.
Should I be sweating?
Can we skip it?
Oh, you're sweating.
I'm sweating actually.
Okay, that's good for you.
I'm like, oh, why did I put this person through this case now? This last one, are you ready? It says, chances do what chances do you wish you had taken?
What chances
You wish
I had taken? I feel that in college, I'm doing a lot of traveling now in my later years, and I had opportunities to really connect with a lot of study abroad and things like that. And I think about it now that those were trips I probably could have made when I was much younger because I really loved to travel and I had those opportunities. I think that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, traveling.
Yeah. Travel. I would have traveled more, taken advantage of that before I started having kids and things like that. Yeah.
Off the cards, like, is there a place on your bucket list that you still love to travel to?
Yeah. I would like to go I haven't been to Paris. Everybody talks about Paris. I've been close to Paris, but I haven't been to Paris. Bucket list. You know what? It may sound strange to some people listening, but I would really love to travel within the African continent. People talk about, I've been to Ghana. I'd like to go to Egypt. I'd like to go to Kenya. I would like to travel more within the African continent, which is something that when I used to think of traveling, I thought traveling to foreign countries. So now I'm in this season of I would like to visit more African countries because I went to Marrakesh and I had such an amazing time. And I was like, I need to visit more African countries. That's my thing now. I want to go to more African countries.
Yes, thank you so much for answering the wildcard questions. I got to find out that, you had a near-death experience in the past, and this must have shifted the course of your life in a lot of ways. So I don't know if you could take us back to that moment and also tell us about the vision that it sparked within you.
Love that question. I'm a very ambitious woman. I think that culturally we're raised as Nigerians. You have to have ambition or they'll beat it to you know?
Yeah.
And I was working, I was having my children, a typical lifestyle that is not unusual within our culture. The children, young children, daycare, go to school. And then I was working as a systems engineer in a company. And the hours were really long. I was doing what they considered a mommy shift, where you work 4 days a week, longer hours and things like that. I really wasn't connected to it because I knew God had shown me earlier that my job was not to be babysitting computers, that I was supposed to be doing things with human beings. But I never really connected to that vision or the vision God had. I wasn't really clear on that. And going to work was really like suffering, painful because each time I was driving to work, I had a commute. I would be thinking, this cannot be my whole life. There has to be something. But people on the outside would see my life and think she got it made. Good job, she's this, the kids, the lifestyle. But one day I was escorting a client out and I couldn't catch my breath anymore and I passed out. I ended up in the hospital. And while in the hospital, I was told that the doctor had come to talk to me that I had thrown a clot into my lungs and I was congratulating me that I survived it and so on. And as the doctor left, I just kind of slipped into a slight sleep, so to speak. But I was very awake and I had this out of body experience where I found myself submerged under these blankets, heavy blankets. It was more like those x-ray blankets they use to cover you when they want to take your x-ray. Very heavy blankets, like lead blankets. And I felt really weighted and I was trying to find myself through the darkness and a light shot out of the blankets. And the next thing you know, I was on top of this mountain. And on the mountain, I was this radiant Olu. I was like, look at me, I'm shining, very lightweight, free. And then I looked to my side, I saw these figures. I thought they were trees, but they were actually, as the light hit them, they started moving. Then the next thing, the other side, I'm like, and these people had these tiny, tiny lights, Immediately my light hit them, the light would just come on and then they would start having mobility. And then I woke up. In that moment, I knew what decisions I had to make with my work. I knew that I was called for something way bigger, and I couldn't interpret it. But I knew that my love for people, because I worked at the children's church, youth, I loved people. Unlike other people who say, I don't like people. Me, I love people. I was a go-to person when it comes to guidance. I had studied guidance, Christian counseling. I had done a lot of things that all led to helping people. But it was on that moment that it was pivotal for me because I knew something had to change. Now, did it change overnight? No, it took a while because I couldn't understand it. Oftentimes when God shows you something, you can't immediately interpret it. You start putting your human interpretation, your fleshly interpretation to it.
Yeah.
So I started taking courses, like coaching courses, certifications, this and that, reading tons of books. But over time, if you stick with it and you believe, your heart starts to manifest what it is. So I started listening differently. I started hearing differently. I started hearing common tones, struggles, particularly women were having. Other successful women who were doing great things, who on the outside, life looked perfect. But then on the inside, the turmoil, the dissatisfaction, the struggle to be perfect, to do it like everybody else expects you to do, to be a pride to your community and your family. Those struggles, I started recognizing it, and God started amplifying it in me until I started now counseling people, all of this stuff I used to do for free. And then God started leading me closer and closer and closer and saying, you know what, this is what I called you to do. A lot of the challenges that have been placed before you, because life is going to life, life is going to be lifing. I had certain challenges. I had certain things that I went through. And through it, I just kept on seeing the reason behind it, because God cannot allow me to go through something just for the fun of it. And just because I had faith, it did not mean that things would not happen, which I think it's a myth. We tend to say, if you know God, nothing bad will happen to you. Your life will just be so. So when things happen, people are like, what happened to your faith? Maybe they didn't have enough faith, improve your faith. It's like, what are they talking about? So so for me, I just felt like I needed to take certain journeys to be able to be this awesomeness of God that I am today. And I'm not saying that in a boastful way, but I feel like I've walked certain miles that God has taken me through. There have been so many lessons learned, and now I'm able to actually pour into other people. I can see it, I can hear it. I was talking to someone recently, and she just made a statement. She says, I'm just tired. And I knew exactly what she meant. I knew exactly what she meant. She was high professional, doing very well, amazing money, everything. But she just said, and she just gives it, and I've been there, being internally tired. And that's a common thing with ambitious, high achieving women. You accomplish a lot of things in terms of titles and accolades, but that cannot feed the soul. It does not equal to feeding the soul, the purpose of the soul, the satisfaction of the soul. You can't buy happiness. You can't buy satisfaction. You can buy things that make you palate you, a new bag, new car, a bigger house. But that inner core is what I feel is everybody's lifelong journey. That's all that everybody's looking for, that inner, deeper satisfaction. And it comes with aligning your faith, what God has called you to do, figuring it out with what you're doing. Because if not, we're just waking up and going to work, coming back, paying bills. So that's really, I hope it's not too long an explanation, but I feel like it kind of lays a foundation for you to understand where I come from and why I'm drawn to do the work I do.
Yeah.
And why I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. I mean, I'm learning from that already. Like, sometimes based on background also, we are like maybe tuned or built up already to want to achieve a lot of things, basically. Or go to school, things, exactly. Go and become a doctor, go and become an engineer, and do this and do that. After you do this one, get married, have children, build a house, buy a second house, buy third house. Exactly. It's a script. That's
you get married, you're not having children. Is there a problem?
The first one is not enough.
You have to have a boy. You have two boys, you got two girls, like what happened to the boy? You have two boys, okay, what happened to the girl? There's a script, and you're right. In our culture, there is a script within our culture. It's the same thing with other cultures, because when I talk to my colleagues, like from India, and things like that, they tell me that that's the same thing with them. They have this checklist.
Yeah.
And the checklist is good to keep us motivated. But I also talk to a lot of people who are in careers that don't belong to them, who have a call on their lives to do something unusual and impactful and purpose driven that are missing it. I know a lot of people who are burnt out on their lives. They would walk out on their lives in a minute just to find satisfaction and peace of mind. And that has taught me a lot of lessons in terms of balancing and raising my own children with what it is that makes us great people. But everything great can be modified and can be adjusted for the new season that we're in.
That's true. Yeah. And greatness, like you said, does not have a script to it. It depends on what God has called you to become. Be great in that.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it like for you, like leaving your high-paying job? I don't know. For me, it sounds like jumping into uncertainty, basically. Like, okay, you have this job. If you go to work Monday to Thursday, for example, you get your salary at the end of the month. Everything is like outlined. And then you have to go and learn and become a life coach and start helping people without, in my opinion or my understanding, a steady sort of income again. How was that switch like for you? How was it like living the high paying job?
I'm going to answer it from a particular angle. The snapshot it was, I was married. I mean, I had 3 kids at the time. And I found out that the reason I had the pulmonary embolism was because I was pregnant and I was working at a sitting job for too long. So I threw a clot. I wasn't moving around enough. So I had a baby coming up. I had 3 young kids already. There was a transition because with my job being sick, I was able to take a year off and still have pretty much a lot of my salary paid. That gave me that little landing space, soft landing to start studying. Did I figure it out completely at that time? No. Because you see, it's one thing to do what you're passionate about or what you're called to. But if you want to make it a business, it's a total different conversation. Yeah. So for me, I had to take baby steps. I was doing it on the side, but I was still doing real estate. I was doing it on the side, still running my side businesses, because as a Nigerian woman, you have to have income.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
very
to
true.
have income,
Yeah.
So was it easy? No. Even up till now, I was in a family business for a period of 9 years or so, 10 years. And it took a lot of my time. So I was still doing my work on the side. And it's when I decided that now is the time. Well, God decided now is the time that over the past year and a half, I've had to really focus on this and start looking at it to answer your question, the other part of your question, can I do my passion and still have an income? Can it sustain me? And scripture says that it should be able, not should, it will. God will bless the work of my hands. And so that is where we're at now. So now I do a lot of workshops, in-person workshops. I do coaching, I do group coaching, individual coaching, and things like that. And all of these things that I've learned has now become a framework with which I work with other people to help them go quicker when they make that kind of a transition. Yeah. So that you don't sit in it for a long time, because it's a very lonely place to be. It's sometimes a place of shame, of judgment from communities. Like that happened. I mean, there are a lot of things that go on like that. And just helping people to navigate those spaces and helping them make quality decisions. Because I really believe that one of the most important skills that one can learn is the ability to make quality decisions.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we make default decisions or emotionally based decisions or crisis based decisions. And that's one of the key things that I teach, when I'm working with people, is how, I examine that. How are you making these kind of decisions? Well, I don't know what happened here. Toby, okay.
Yeah, I'm back. I got disconnected for a minute. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's okay. I can see you. I can hear you. So.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so and it's recording. I just got like a notification on my screen that got disconnected. I was like, oh, okay. What happened?
Okay, you're back.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. So, when you were talking about, when you were sharing your the vision that you had. You talked about, you on a mountain and you saw those little things, and when your light, shined on them, you got illuminated. I was like, aha, okay, that's where your name,
That's where the word came from.
yeah, illumination comes from.
And real quickly, in that, I used to think it was because I'm Olufumilayo. The ego.
Yeah.
That's really nice, Lord,
Yes.
giving me this idea for my company. Then a friend of mine who is non-African asked me, what does Olu mean? And I said, it's really Olua, which means God.
Yes.
But nobody calls themselves God. You just go around with, my name is Olua, my name is God. That it is Olua. So then the Holy Spirit told me, said, my goodness, it's God's nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see
Yes.
now, when I got it, I'm like, no, oh my goodness, you thought that it was all about you and this, your flesh. Then I was like, oh my God, it tied me back to the vision that this is God's space, it's his nation, and that I was called to a specific group, and that I'm going to work with a specific group. And I had seen different messages to me in my dreams that, oh, the people you're called to will recognize your voice. And I would have clients on an audio call, group call, and they will say, I just heard your voice. I knew I had to work with you. So you see how the puzzle starts fitting, So everything just started, the word illumination, the illumination for the company. And I don't come up with this stuff. Yeah, I'm not that sharp to come up with that.
Divine
so that's how
inspiration.
that is, by the way.
Thanks for so much for sharing that. Yeah, because when you were sharing, I was like, yeah, there must be something tied to that. Yeah. So I'd like to ask you about the word illumination. Like, I know your life and your work revolves around illumination, and you help other people, shine unapologetically also. So, what does illumination mean to you on a soul level, and how do you help other people find their light?
I love that question. Illumination to me means, obviously, illumination means light. And to me, I feel everybody carries a light. And the not being aware of what kind of light you carry is what causes us to move into other people's shadow and reflection. Illumination is finding yourself on top of that mountain, fully lit in your best life, in your best potential and possibility, in being able to stand there and influence and impact other people. To me, that is what illumination is. When you are not in that space, you operate, like I said, on reflection, other people's dreams, other people's plans, other people's light, and you're just this side show. So supporters club kind of thing. Whereas God calls each person to a life of purpose and potential and impact. Because we're not here for just, I believe, we're not here just for ourselves. We're not here just for our immediate family, like our children. You're supposed to be, if you have kids, you're supposed to take care of them. It's not something you get an award for. It's like, I was a great parent, you should be. You understand? But who is your life impacting? What is in your life that is influencing other people? How is Toby's podcast impacting the rest of the world? It's beyond you. It's now you're illuminating because somebody listens, shares it with another person, then another person and another person. And then that light that I told you starts hitting other people and lighting it up and opening up the mind and opening up our perception on world solutions. You could hear one sentence and it's a shift right there.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what illumination is. It's helping people find that spark, what makes them be themselves, back to themselves as God really wants them to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope I explained it to you.
Yeah, there's something that you said to me right now that I'm going to hold on to, hopefully for the rest of my life. Like, it's very essential, very important for us to have that light shining upon us so we don't stand in the shadows of other people. Like, that standing in the shadow of other people is something I'm holding on to. Like, I never want to stand in the shadow of other people. So I need illumination in my life every day, every time, for every purpose.
You want to be Toby. You want to be Toby. You want to bring, like in our culture, we name kids for a particular reason.
Yes.
And if your name is not radiating, it's not illuminating you, it's not evident in your life. You understand? You should question yourself if you come from a culture that has that kind of background. And that's one of the things with my work is I'm known as a cultural expert. Reason that I say that is it's It's a difference. You cannot work with people and remove their background. And it's an easy conversation for you and I to have because you know how heavy our background is on who we are, our expectations, what we consider success, you know, how we treat our elderly, how we raise our children, the kind of careers we go for, things and, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, when you go as a person from a heavy culture and you go to someone in a different culture or a culture that is less defined, so to speak, you don't get the same kind of help because the perception is totally different. They can't understand where you're coming from. They can't understand the pressures of having to take care of your family abroad. And they can't understand you can't go on every vacation that they're going to because you have to do certain things for certain people back home and so on and things like that. So that cultural influence on how women particularly look at leadership, look at accomplishment, manage home and career, lead is a different ballgame. It's just a different conversation. And I bring a lot of the cultural background and understanding and lived experience that I've had into my programs so that we can connect from a place of true understanding. Says in everything, get understanding, you know, and you're getting knowledge, you want to get understanding and allow that to help us to be that illumination that we need to be. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's necessary. Like you, I mean, it's totally. I mean, you nailed it already. Like I totally agree with you. Like our culture, our background defines who we are, and also defines how we see things, like our mindset and how we you know pursue our purpose in life. Also, like
how the brain works, how it's
works.
wired. They've wired it since they birthed you. You know.
Yeah.
So you have to unwire certain things, unlearn certain things, readjust certain things, keep certain things, you know, you have to do your own self-assessment. How is it working for me?
How is it working for, and that's why we need illumination actually. So that's, like you said earlier, this default decision making, I was already thinking about it at the side of my head, like, my God, how many decisions have I made by default? Because I am Toby and I'm from Ibadan and my mommy said I should do it this way. And I don't even have to think twice. I just do it that way because that's how it is supposed to be done. And now I have to go back and sit down and say, okay, I have to make intentional decisions, not emotional decisions or default decisions. Yeah.
And I love that you picked that up because when you really look at it and you start pausing and going, where did that come from? You know, like, why am I thinking that? Where did that perception come from? It's very limiting, you know, but it's also empowering because if it's something that is empowering and serves the good, then you can go, oh, okay, you know, like, yeah, I should do certain things. It will make me a stronger man in the family or woman. And then there's certain things you'll be asking yourself and going, it's not working now. It doesn't work overseas. It doesn't work, you know, that kind of a thing. Or I need to modify that. Or, okay, it's the way I think and it's right. It's okay. It works in this situation. At least it's an empowered, intentional, you know. But, you know, sometimes we hold on to certain things and it's not working for us. We don't really believe in it. We're struggling with it. It has started keeping us up at night. We're having anxiety attacks about it. And then it's like, you got to be settled in your spirit. Somebody asked me, says, and it's a common question, say, you know, how do you know you're making the right decision? I say, it's peace of mind.
Yeah.
If you challenge something and it gives you peace, go with it. You know, in spiritual terms, we call it the Holy Spirit. When you have peace that passeth all understanding and you make a decision, everybody is against it, but you're at peace, you know you're on the right track. You're making an illuminated decision there.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to ask you this question already, but I think you answered it. Like, I wanted to know how your Christian faith, and you've answered background already, but I wanted to know how your Christian faith, you know, shaped or is shaping your healing from past pain and also helping you with your leadership right now. But I know you've answered partially, but I don't know if you could shine some light on that. Like, how is your Christian faith helping you?
I would like to shed light on it.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that I could give you a generic woo-woo answer and say, yes, you know, but there were many times I grew up a Christian. I grew up in a conservative CAC background. You know what I'm talking about. Very conservative. But it was very powerful. It gave me the foundation of prayer and belief. But as life started happening, each time something major happened, I would have to go back and say, what do I really believe? It's not supposed to be like this. I thought that I had this nailed, you know. Yeah, I pray, I do this, you know, things should be just fantastic. that myth that we have about if you're prayerful and you really do well, you serve this, your life should be easy sailing. I had that youthful idea. When life started happening and I started getting older, and, I can't say life started happening till I was in my 40s. I'm serious. And then I had something happen, then another thing. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? And for a while, I couldn't pray. For a while, I had to question, what do I really believe? And that's why I really went back to school, theology school, for 2 years. And I said, I told you, I think, that I did Christian counseling.
Yeah.
I was the most verbal person in class because I just wanted to know, how does this faith thing work when people are going through challenges? You guys are saying, da, 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 God is a loving God, da, 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 da. I had to challenge my faith. Just like we were talking about challenging your beliefs and things like that, and say, what do I really believe? Do I really believe this Christianity? Do I really believe this faith? And it's the most powerful thing I did, because I feel like I reconnected myself with the God of that mountaintop, and that I am safe, I am loved, and I have purpose. And that is what each of those stages. So I believe that whenever we have these silent struggles or battles and we start resolving them, and we start seeking the understanding behind it, it takes you to a more elevated level, a more enlightened level. Then it's like what did they call it? I'll remember it now. But it's like each time you go, the hero's journey, each time you go through that cycle, you come back and you're more enlightened, right?
Yeah.
Then you go through another journey. It's not the older or third or fourth generation that goes through that. You're more enlightened in some area. So it's a compounding effect that it has in your brain, the rewiring. Now you can fire to different places instead of a single lane. You're now creating different pathways that you can be hitting. And that's what I feel life is about. I don't shy away for challenges anymore. I'm really steadfast in knowing, okay, I wonder what the lesson in this is and how God wants to use this again.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it, because
You're welcome.
sometimes when I'm going through difficult situations too, I will like, is it my village people that are attacking me right now? Or what have I offended? What have I done wrong?
Offended? No. But you know what? From our background, that's the default. It's like some people have my name on their calendar.
Yeah.
Did I offend? I'm just going my way, minding my business. I'm not supposed to go into all this trouble. I don't trouble other people. Why would people trouble me? But, spiritually, I believe that it's all compounded. I think that there is that aspect to it that you have to be aware of, that there are people who have spirits of envy and jealousy and things like that. It's a vibration. It's an energy. But then you also have to empower yourself in what you say you believe in. That is a counter to it, and say, okay, you want to come with that energy? I'm meeting you with this energy. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And that's the balance over time that you have to create, that, what, you're bringing it. Okay, bring it on. It's like, okay, I'm ready for you, and you attack it from all the angles. Because coming from our background, you can't eliminate that thought.
No,
you can't.
It's different.
We don't want to go into the details because it's different.
Yeah,
there are people there waiting and working, and, it's an energy. And if you say, oh, it doesn't exist, I was that person. Oh, I'm a good person. I haven't offended anybody. I believe in God. God is all powerful. God can do all things, and, nobody can harm me, but you have to be aware that there are these negative energies. There is an evil energy out there looking to steal, kill, and destroy. And you just have to stay in that knowing and make sure that's why when I'm teaching people, I say, when I'm working with him, I just say this thing, and I'm going to say it here now for everyone. When you're doing personal development, when you're developing your inner core, it's like going to the gym. You're developing your inner core, your muscles. It's not because you're going to fight a battle. But if a battle comes, if you fall, you get up faster. If you have to run, you can run. You're not going to be out of breath after 2 steps. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's the same thing. The more you develop your mind, develop your thinking, yourself, personal development is a gold mine for an individual who gets it. Because when you have those battles come, those struggles come, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm ready. I got some tools for you. You may not be able to solve all of them, but it's not going to impact you. And the bigger picture is you're not going to sit in it for a long time.
Yeah.
You'll go down there, because you're empowered, you come back up. But some people have things happen and they stay there for years. They can't move. They get stuck. They're depressed. They can't move. They can't go anywhere.
That's why we need those tools to fight our battles. Yeah.
You need to prepare before the battle. You need to prepare before anything happens. Be prepared. Be prepared.
That's true. Thanks for going down that part for me. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so it's a be prepared thing. You have to be prepared.
So for people out there, for example, right now who are looking into this, I need that illumination in my life. And now we've talked about, our faith being tested and it's been a part of life. Basically, we go through pain, to even achieve our purpose in life. Even when we're on a path of our purpose fulfillment, like we already heard what God wants us to do. We are at peace with it. We'll still go through those trouble and pain at the moment. So for those kind of people that are going through maybe downfalls at this moment, or they're in rock bottom, even though they're on that path of purpose fulfillment, how would you advise them to rise back up again?
Rising back up. That just hit a nerve there. I'm doing a program in Canada called the Quiet Rise this month, at the end of this month. And that's one of the, you're in the spirit.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing the first stop is in Canada, Toronto, Canada. It's called the Quiet Rise. And I was given that from my core. When you fall, everybody will have a fall or two or three. Life is not going to continue bright. Apart from learning, because most people say, what does it mean to have a coach or mentor? It's not your auntie, your cousin. It's somebody who's neutral, but interested in you. You do not see wealthy people who are not in masterminds. You don't see anybody doing well who doesn't have a coach or two or three or four. We need, as human beings, we need support. From the background, Yoruba culture we come from, you have those people in town. When you have a problem with relationship issues, there's always that auntie to go to, uncle.
Yeah. Yes.
If it's financial, there's that person. If it's the overall, there's that person. If you're sad and you just want to be inspired, there's the funny one that you go to that will just lift your spirit, give you one or two words, and you're on your way again. You need a community, and you need to invest in your community. You need to buy books. You need to have a coach, a life coach. I don't even know how life's without having people to talk to, because that's the key thing. You want to talk to somebody who can reason with you, not to teach you what you need to do, but to help guide you, ask you the proper questions that will invoke aligned answers within yourself, because you are your own answer.
Yeah.
That will cause you to think differently, challenge your thinking, shake it up a little bit or a lot. Sometimes I say I do a lot, but challenge you, shake you up, and cause you to dig down and pull up your own best answer, your own best move, and your own solution to your situation.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you offer, such services for people out there, because like you said, we can't go through life without a community. And when they gave us to us, they unfortunately forgot the manual of life. So they didn't give us the manual.
There is no manual. You have to go through and write your own. It's like the things that worked in my dad's time doesn't work. All of it doesn't work now, but the principles work. So if you stick with the principles, I believe in kindness. I believe do unto others how you want them to do with you. If they bring on a fight, be prepared. I have my own principles, but create your own principles. Write your own manifesto. Create your own board of personal advisors, or supporters, because you can't do life alone. And that's one of the key things with high achieving women, because they have accomplished so much. They're looked up into in the community. They're the ones who are a solution to everybody. I went through it too. I was like, who am I going to go to? Who's going to understand? I lost my son about 3 years ago. He passed on, my first son. And it was so sudden and devastating, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking while I was sitting there, I said, who can understand what this is all about? Your mind starts leaning out and going, who would get it? Do you get? Somebody who's experienced it, somebody who knows what I'm going through. Same thing with business, loss. You lose a business. A person who's never run a business cannot even understand what it means to nurture a business, put money in it, the sleepless nights, the ending work, no clock in, clock out time, and then you lose it. Nobody can understand it. You understand? So there are certain life experiences that I just feel that if you align yourself in the not everybody can be your mentor or your coach or your business advisor, because if there's no alignment there, you can't connect. So I think that for younger people particularly, I'm in my 60s. So for younger people, I feel like that's sometimes one of the missing links. Find you a community, build your own board, your own table of advisors, that way you feel protected. So my women, when I work with them, they feel protected. They don't bring a front. When the people come to me, they're like, I'm the CEO of, I own so, and I am the head of. Okay, that's really nice. Congratulations. Then I start getting to know who they are, and they start letting down their guard, and then we can get to the core, because you have to be able to be honest with whoever it is that is helping you, whoever it is that you want to gain something from, so to speak. So
That's
enough
true.
said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like pure word of wisdom, because if you're not able to let your guards down, no one will be able
Yeah.
to come in to help you, basically. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, like, letting our guards down, because sometimes we feel like we'll be judged once we remove all the mascara and the makeup and everything and the walls that we have up.
You can't say mascara and makeup. You're not a fit.
No, because you said you coach women, so I was like, okay, mascara and makeup.
Yes. No, but seriously, you're right. A new wig, a new bag, a new outfit, makeup cannot cover what the eyes are carrying and the heart is carrying. So one of the things I have is this knack for penetrating looks. When people look at me and say, "How are you?" And I'm great. I don't look at anything but the eyes, because the eyes don't lie. And you have to be able to be vulnerable somewhere, be able to say, you know what, things seem to be going well, but I still feel, I still need, I'm still desiring, I've been praying about something and I'm unsettled, and have somebody work through that with you. Because I also believe that when we start having these urges, it's a divine urge that change needs to occur, that you're getting too comfortable in that space. And you don't have urges like that unless something is off. And oftentimes, I call them blankets. We just cover it up and say, oh, let's just ignore that. You get busy at work, you take on more hours, you buy new clothes, you have that short fix, but you leave the core issue and you don't address it. And then it starts building and binding, resentment builds, you start getting cranky with people around you, blah, blah, blah. And then one day you have a breakdown. You have a burnout, or you just, collapse, so to speak. Yeah.
The moral lesson is, don't sweep things under the carpet, don't place blankets
Nope.
on the things you have to work on. Yeah.
Just face and resolve. Face and resolve. Even tasks with our work. There's certain tasks I hate as a business owner, but I just have to face it and I have to resolve it. Face it, no matter how daunting, and resolve it. And that leads to difficult conversations, difficult decisions, difficult thoughts. You don't want to go to places, dark places. And, you have to face it.
Face
Yeah.
and resolve.
And that's what I help people do. I help them
Yes.
to face it.
And resolve it. Yeah.
And then I help them to resolve these things.
Yes. So you work only with women, from my understanding.
When I say I work primarily with women, I do work primarily with women, but I do work with men. I work with men. They're not my primary large group that I work with, but I have worked with numerous men. What I have found, I get a lot of emails about this question. Men tell me, you're always posting things and doing programs for women. What about us? And I say, when the Lord tells me that it's time, I'll do programs. But when it comes to one-on-one coaching, I do that for men. I've worked with a lot of executives, and it takes a lot for a man to hire a personal coach.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. Do you notice the difference between working with, all these high-performing men and, women also? Like, maybe women are more, they could approach you easily or easier and ask you, okay, please, I need help. Or men will be like, okay, I can figure this out myself.
I think that men generally, it's an ego thing. They're trained and raised to be the strong one. to be the leader, to be the head. You don't cry. You don't supposed to show that you're afraid. You should be strong. So when they're feeling these feelings of inadequacy, or, you know what, I'm petrified. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm supposed to be leading my family. I'm supposed to be making a decision. In our culture, somebody dies and it's like they have like 4 senior people in the family, senior females, and then they go to the youngest one who's 16 years old. They say, that's the man of the family. You're now the man of the family. And the poor child is going, I don't know what to do. I need to ask my auntie, the senior one, It's just a heavy burden on men too. So I have these conversations with men all the time. So it takes the kind of man that is really willing to go there and become aware of that situation that they're going through and wanting to leverage all that and become and learn from it. You have to get to that state of awareness. And I think a lot of men just cover it up with drinking, with sex, with this, with that, and just try to cover it up. So I know somebody's going to challenge what I just said and bring it on. But I think when men, the men that are attracted to my work are men they've lived with those inner struggles for so long, and they really need and want somebody who can help them through that process. Yeah. And when they come out of it, they're better people, better husbands, better partners, better leaders in their work, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You can't be perfect at home and then be a bum at work, So when you lead properly at work, I expect that to translate to your home. If not, there's that big, huge gap that is being filled by all kinds of stuff.
We all need help.
We all need help.
That's
yes. Yes.
Thanks so much for sharing about the loss of your son. I'm sorry for your loss. Have you been able to process it already? Have you been able to? I know it's a long healing journey, I believe, but would you say you're in a better state than you were in the last year or something?
Initially, I think I was in shock for about a year, and I felt I had to be strong because I have 3 other children, a son and 2 daughters. And I know that they were watching how I was handling it. Is she going to collapse? What's going to happen? People around me, my close friends, were the only people that I allowed close to me at that time, because I just didn't know how to be alone and not go to that deep hole that I know was waiting for me. That's where my faith came in, my conversations with God. What is the purpose of this? What am I supposed to do with all of this? There's so many other things happening. And my faith was really strong in terms of, not because I prayed more or anything, but it's the only thing that was left in the core of my being. Somewhere down there, the faith didn't go away. I was angry at God for a while. I was angry with myself. I was angry with people. I was, and then that whole system of, you go through stages, they don't come in order. You may feel one stage today, another stage tomorrow. I remember one day I found myself laughing at something, and I'm like, oh my God, I felt guilty. Like, why am I laughing? Why should I be laughing about how can something be funny to a person who has lost a child? You see how the brain works.
Yeah.
To answer the part about how am I doing now, about 7-8 months ago, I woke up feeling this deep peace. I felt like my joy had returned. I was beginning to feel myself.
That's good.
I was beginning to feel myself. I was beginning to see myself. I was beginning to reconnect with who I was and who I am meant to be. And that's not just because of my son's death. It was because of all the things that was surrounding that too. And I just found out that I was in a place of peace and the illumination. It was like, you know how you have a dimmer?
Yeah.
It was like it was turning back up again.
That's good.
Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense, yeah.
Everything was in low dose, like romantic dose for dinner. So you want to go to dinner, romantic dinner, let's turn the light low. That's how I was living for like 2 years. And then after a while, it just started coming up and after a while you master, how are you? Oh, I'm great.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are they going to do with the other answer? If I say I'm not doing great, after a while, people get on with their own lives, and you can't just keep on saying all the time, I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well. So that was a really touchy time, but I'm grateful for where I am now. I'm really excited about the work I do now because I have people recommended to me who have lost a person suddenly, a child, or, and now I can be there. And again, going back to how we started, when you have pain and challenges, it's not just for the fun of it. There's a purpose to it, and it makes me a more valued vessel to be able to lift somebody from a dark place that I visited. So this is a good time for me. I'm doing very well now.
I'm glad
Thank
to
you
hear
for
that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate. I admire your strengths and you standing still, standing and sitting what God has placed in your hands to do, regardless of what you've gone through. That takes a lot of courage and strength. Yeah, and
I'm grateful.
I admire that.
And people say it all the time that you're so strong. I say, nobody tests strong. There's no meter for strong until you have to go through something. And then when you survive it, people say you're strong. But there's always a choice. It's either you sink into it or you survive and then you go beyond it. And I've been going beyond it. I've been finding the light each time. When I get in that dark space, I look up and I'm like, where's that light? What's going to be the light to guide me now? And sometimes you have to humble yourself. You have to take all the judgment. You have to take the embarrassment, the shame, the this. But what I've learned over time is if you keep your eye on the light, nothing is going to stay the same all the time. Everybody will have their own season. Nobody is immune.
Unfortunately, yeah. That's very true.
Keep your light on. Stay connected to the light.
Stay connected to the light. Auntie Olu, I've learned so much from you from this conversation.
Yeah.
Like I could go on and on, but I want people out there who still want to connect with you, maybe work with you, take part in your program. What's the best way to work with you? What's the best way to connect with you? What's the best way to do all this?
The best way to connect with me is through my website, Olu Adetutu, my name.com, and my social platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, very visible, Olu Adetutu, Instagram, Olu Adetutu, Facebook. So those are the platforms you can reach me. If you want to send me a private message, most people send me private messages because normally what they're going through is really personal. But send me a private message. I usually post my programs that I'm having. I have a community called Illumination on Facebook. That's another way to get some private time with me because I pop into the group and we have discussions like this in the group, Tribe Olumination on Facebook. And just stay connected. And I'm not difficult to reach at all. Sometimes you can give me a phone call. I will answer your call too. And yeah, it's
Awesome.
a mission.
It's a mission, yes. I'm going to place a link to your website and social media handles in the show notes of this episode to encourage everyone who wants to reach out to you, get across to you, should use the website link or the social media handles and reach out to you. It has been a blessing learning from you and speaking with you. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure talking to you. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I want to acknowledge the work you're doing. The quality of your podcast is really exemplary. And I really appreciate you putting in the effort to do this because a lot of people are going to be blessed by it.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is awesome.
Thank you very much.